Hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Kelly and you're watching That Smells Divine. Today we're talking about underrated and unique gem niche fragrances. So my intention with this video is to give you fragrances that are niche, fragrances that you can wear for the autumn season, and fragrances that aren't necessarily talked about all the time on the internet. Because I don't know about you guys, I mean, it's cool that we're all raving about the same fragrances, but sometimes I'm like, can we talk about something else? Like, can we just bring up some new fragrances, you know, please, can we do that? So that's my intention with this. I'm not promising that you haven't heard of any of these fragrances, but these are definitely underrated and kind of under the radar hidden gems. Before we dive into our content for today, I had an idea. I would love for you guys to let me know in the comments, where in the world are you located? I realize that like most of my following is in the United States, but I'd love to know where. I know some of you are also in Texas. It's super cool. I know some of you are in California, some of you are in Florida, but like, where is everyone? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear. Kicking off this list with none other than Lethe by Ulrich Long. I have talked about this fragrance a couple times in the past week. This is a beautiful, beautiful, cozy, warm, like lavender, almost incensey, cashmere kind of beautiful fragrance. This is a sweater in a bottle and no one talks about it. I've heard maybe 2 other reviewers talk about it. It's absolutely stunning. If you like to feel like you're dousing yourself in a sweater, like that's the only way I can think of to describe it. It smells like comfort. It literally smells like comfort. So I'll put notes up as I go through each fragrance because I'm not really gonna speak about the notes in particular while I'm going through these, but I highly recommend checking out Ulrich Long's Lethe if you haven't already, and if these notes look appealing to you, 10 out of 10 recommend. Next, we have one by PENHALIGON'S, and this is one that I don't really hear many people talking about. It's gorgeous. It's the Bewitching Yasmine, and to me, this smells like chai tea. I don't know what it is. It has a very like chai tea kind of vibe to it. And to me, it seems that this is one of the lesser talked about PENHALIGON'S, but it's so pretty. If you like Gris Charnel, I feel like you would like this. I sprayed Zoologist Rabbit on my hand earlier and now it's like all I can smell. So let me get a better whiff of this. Like Gris Charnel, I'm not saying it's gonna be exactly the same, but it's kind of in the same ballpark. You will really like this. The only thing is with this, I cannot speak to the longevity because I've never sprayed it on myself. And I feel like to really get a feel for longevity and sillage and all that, you gotta do like a proper spray situation. But yeah, if you're a PENHALIGON'S fan and you like the smell of chai tea, definitely check this one out. Next, we have one from NISHANE that, like, again, no one talks about this. It's a very polarizing fragrance, so I think that that's why. But this one is called Fan Your Flames. And this is a very coconutty, kind of like smoky, it's very in your face. I don't know if it has like a licorice note or an anise note in here, but it kind of gives me like black licorice vibes. Like it's got a very pungent, like kind of sharp, almost rubbery kind of thing going on. It's got a fair amount of rum as well. It's just very punchy. Like it's a very loud fragrance. It's very bold. For those of you that like spicy, boozy, kind of coconut fragrances, I think you will like this. It's similar to Ani in the way that it's like a punch in your face at first. You know how Ani's like, it's not a run-of-the-mill fragrance. Like you smell Ani and you're like, whoa, and then it settles down and you're like, oh, okay. It's kind of like that with Fan Your Flames. I personally like this because it pushes edges, and I think this is a beautiful fragrance to wear when it's like really cold outside. It's sweet, it's earthy. Yeah, definitely worth checking out if you want to kind of push the edge a little bit. If you like woody spicy fragrances, if you like rum fragrances, I would definitely recommend sampling this. I would not blind buy this. Do not blind buy, just sample it. Next, we have from the house of COOLIFE. This is called the QUATRIEME, and this is a fragrance. I got 2 samples when I ordered a sample of this. This is a fragrance that is all about your root chakra. So this is supposed to be a very grounding, very earthy, very like calming, soothing fragrance. And it is really beautiful. It's very warming. It's very vanillic. It leans a little bit masculine. It's got like a very boozy quality in the opening. There's a little bit of like tobacco smoke or something kind of like tobacco-ish here as well. But then it dries down to this like really beautiful, smooth kind of resinous vanilla. Yeah, this is supposed to activate your root chakra, which this fragrance, when I've tested it previously, I immediately think of a grandpa. Not my grandpa. My grandpa wasn't like, I only had one grandpa that was alive until I was 8. And he did not give me a very comforting feeling. He was actually a really bad alcoholic and had a lot of anger issues. I never felt like comfortable around my grandfather. But when I think about like a typical grandpa, that's saying like the typical grandpa that you picture, I feel like this kind of smells like him, like Santa off duty. And that feels comforting to me. The smell of pipe smoke feels comforting. Tobacco, that kind of like manly, sweet, kind of boozy. Yeah, it smells comforting, which our root chakra, if you don't know, is all about safety, security. If we've got any like fear or lack to work through, generally, if we're talking about the chakras, we'll start at the root chakra to kind of clear that out. It's the foundational chakra. It's your sense of security. It's your foundational energy in your body, you know? So I think that this totally fits the bill. I think they did a great job of this, and I've never heard anyone talk about it ever. Okay, next we have one that I thought I was out of, and I found this decant and I'm so excited about it. This is called 1969 and it's by the house Histoire de Parfums. And this, I have like no empty real estate on my body. Let me grab a strip. This is a gorgeous patchouli fragrance. So I personally like to wear patchouli in the autumn because it's a little bit cooler and still warm here, you know, in Austin. So this is just so pretty. I love the patchouli in here. It's very light. It's a little bit green. There's like a really beautiful chocolate note, cacao note in here, I think. There's a little tiny bit of rose. This is just really well blended. It's a gorgeous fragrance that I've not heard anyone talk about. It's so pretty. It's got these like pretty heavy hitter notes, right? But it's like so light and airy at the same time. Oh yeah, there's also some peach in here, and it's also a little spicy. So once it starts to dry down, you're getting a little bit of clove, which I normally don't like, but it's not that bad in here. And then also some cardamom as well. So it gets a little bit spicier on the dry down, but this is just such a beautiful, elegant fragrance that I feel like you could wear on a day-to-day basis, even though it smells really elevated and beautiful and refined. Yeah, I think if you like patchouli, if you like coffee, chocolate, and yeah, if you like something that's like patchouli gourmand, like for example, if you were an Angel fan, or if you are an Angel fan, you might like this as well. I'm not saying it smells like Angel, but it has a little similar of a style because of the, like that gourmand patchouli kind of vibe. It's gorgeous, really well done. Okay, next we have an amber fragrance. This is by The Zoo, and this is called Amber Classico Modern. And this is a very like green amber fragrance. It's super niche. Yeah, there's something like so green about this. There's Peru balsam in here, which I can definitely smell. Definitely getting the mandarin orange. And there's something in here up top that smells kind of scratchy, but it dries down into this like beautiful kind of citrus amber that to me feels very, like this, okay, this is gonna sound strange, but this fragrance makes me feel productive. I don't know what it is, but to me, every time I smell this, I'm like, oh, this is something I would wear. Maybe it's the citrus in here because it makes me feel like I wanna like just go take action. yeah, it just makes me think like this would be a really good fragrance to wear to go to work, maybe to school. I wore it traveling one day when I was flying. I wore it and it just feels really like bright, but also really smooth from that amber. It's very approachable, but also very grown up. Like it just, yeah, it's different. And I don't know where that greenness is coming from. But yeah, this is not your typical amber. So if you're kind of sick of like the boozy, syrupy ambers and you want something that's a little bit more unique, then I would definitely check this out. Definitely not a safe blind buy though, because it's very unique. And it's not something that I think everyone's gonna love, but definitely worth checking out. Yeah, especially for like, as we're getting near Christmas, like that mandarin orange note is really prominent and it kind of makes me think of the holidays as well. So definitely check this out, order a sample of it if you feel intrigued. Again, this is Amber Classico Modern by the Zoo. Okay, next we have another one by another house that no one talks about, and this is called Ginger Chow, and it's by the house of YOSH. And I was lucky enough to meet the perfumer when I worked for Well People back in 2014, 2015, when they had their flagship studio in downtown Austin. I used to work there. I worked there for like 2.5, 3 years. It was so fun. It was so cool. And it was like just such a perfect job for me because it was all like obviously we had the Well People brand, which if you haven't checked out their makeup products, please go check them out. It's totally clean makeup. Yeah, super cool brand. And then we had all these other clean skincare and beauty brands there as well. So I was already obsessed with fragrance when I started working there, but this definitely escalated my obsession because we carried a lot of fragrances there. It was my intro to eccentric molecules. It was my intro to Strangers Perfumery, I think it's called Strangers. And yeah, we carried the YOSH fragrances as well. So my introduction to Ginger Chow happened in like, I don't know, 2016. So this fragrance is a beautiful ginger coconut fragrance, which in all honesty, you can wear this during the summer for sure. To me, it feels like more of an autumn fragrance because of the ginger. And it also has this very like vintagey aspect to it that I love as well. It is so pretty. It's so pretty. It's like a little floral. There's got to be some floral notes in here. The ginger, I'm losing my nose because I've been filming so much. The ginger is like really light and sweet. And the coconut is also really light. Like it's not like one note is like punching you in the face, and it really has this almost like this kind of chypre feel to it, like a very classic, almost like a Chanel vibe almost. It's funny, I've had this sample for a long time, and like when I first got it, it was very much a coconut ginger fragrance, and now I'm totally getting, I think it's ylang ylang. It's a very heavy yellow floral that's giving it that almost like, I hesitate to say vintage, but it's kind of that vintagey kind of thing. But this is beautiful. This to me is the perfect like transition fragrance for fall. Like if you're like me and you're still in this weather where it's like kind of warm, but the leaves are kind of getting crunchy and it's like obviously fall, but we're not really cold yet. This would be a beautiful fragrance for that. But yeah, this is really pretty, you guys. Really, really pretty. Yeah, definitely recommend if you like spicy florals. But again, not a safe blind buy by any means. I don't think any of these that I'm sharing on this list are safe blind buys, to be honest. So I would definitely sample everything before you purchase. Next, we have an oldie but a goodie. This is by Atelier, which is no longer available in the United States or in Canada, I don't believe. I think you have to go to Europe to get this. This is Vanilla INCENSEE. And this is a beautiful citrus vanilla that you can wear in the spring and summer, but this really shines in the fall. Think of this like when it's still kind of warm, but leaves are getting crunchy, you're starting to go on those walks where it feels a little chilly. This is absolutely perfect. I think that there's a lime note in here potentially, but this is a very like smooth, almost like vanilla extracty vanilla. The first time I wore this, I was in Portland, Oregon, and it was cold. It was November, and we were like at a bar where there was an outdoor fire pit, and we were all like bundled around this fire. I had this like big leather jacket on, and I was drinking a glass of red wine, trying to stay warm by the fire, and this fragrance just fit that mood so perfect. And then another time that I wore this that really stuck out for me, we went whiskey tasting. It was maybe like 2 winters ago, and it was the middle of winter here in Austin, so it was cold, meaning it was like maybe 55 degrees. So we were all bundled up and we went to this whiskey tasting, and I was wearing this, and it doesn't smell really that boozy, but it just felt really cozy for the experience of like being inside, sipping whiskey, then going outside, and again, there were like fire pits and people were kind of bundled up. Yeah, really pretty. But with that citrus note, you can still wear this when the temperatures are like, you know, warm-ish. I wouldn't recommend wearing this in like 90-degree heat personally, but yeah, it's really pretty. It's a really smooth vanilla, pretty linear to be honest, but yeah, just a classic. I feel like this was, for me, one of my original vanilla loves, and I'm so glad that I got a bottle of this before they stopped selling in the US. So yeah, I think that you can still get samples perhaps if you kind of look around on the internet, or you could probably buy something off of Mercari maybe. But yeah, definitely for the vanilla lovers for sure. Okay, next we have a very underrated fragrance from my favorite house, which is ARQUISTE. If you don't know, if you're new here, hi, my name's Kelly and I'm obsessed with ARQUISTE. And this is called ANIMA DULCIS. And this is a beautiful, I'm nursing this as well as I am with lots of decants, but I will be buying a full bottle of this once this is gone. This is a beautiful like cinnamon Mexican cocoa fragrance with a little bit of, I think, pimento, or there's some chili or something. So it's like a spicy Mexican cocoa, which is so, so delicious. It's got a little bit of a vintagey feel to it. Definitely, if you don't like vintage style fragrances, you might not like this, but it's beautiful. It's literally like, have you ever made, okay, so for me, I make cacao drinks at home. I don't like regular hot cocoa, but I'll make cacao, which there's a difference, right? So I'll make that, but then I'll put like cayenne pepper in it to kind of spice it up a little bit. And it has that same like spicy chocolatey quality in here. It is so pretty. It's so also very comforting in a very like kind of styly, sort of sexy way. I would definitely wear this out. Like this just smells luxurious to me in a very subtle, refined way. But I've also worn this at home just being cozy as well. It is so beautiful, you guys. Definitely get a sample of this if you haven't already, especially if you like chocolate fragrances, and especially if you like a little bit of a spicy kick and you don't mind a vintage style fragrance. Okay, and last but not least on this list, we have one I've spoken about before. This is Bottega Veneta. This is the EDP, and this has been making me happy since 2012. So funny story. I like teased that I was gonna tell this story maybe a year ago, and then I never told it, but I doubt the involved party would ever watch my YouTube channel, so I'll just tell the story. So I dated this guy for like a couple months, super nice guy. My mom had just passed away. I was like in no mood, like in no state to start a relationship. Anyways, I dated him for a couple of months, and at the time he was living with 2 roommates, and one of them was a girl. And it'd be so funny if they ever watch this video. Every time I would stay over, I would go, like before I got in my car to drive home, I would like, you know, go to the bathroom and like kind of freshen up my face, wash my hands, you know, just kind of like get myself a little cleaned up before I drove home. And there was always this bottle of Bottega Veneta sitting on the bathroom sink, which obviously was the girl roommates. And so I would always steal a spray, and I never like talked to her about it, which is funny because like the 4 of us would hang out, you know, at night and like have drinks together and play games and stuff. And I never admitted to her that I was like stealing sprays of her Bottega Veneta. It's like bad fragrance karma. I mean, I wasn't dousing myself. I would literally spray 1 spritz and be like, okay, just enough so I can like smell this on the way home and like savor it. And so then I ended up getting a decant back in 2020 maybe. I have literally no space left in my arms. And so it was, you know, 8 years later that I smelled it. I didn't realize this was the same fragrance when I ordered it, and sprayed it and was instantly transported back to that bathroom. It is so pretty. This is like such a chypre, I think, fragrance. It's got like a patchouli kind of oak moss, jasmine, I think, smell. This smells so grown up to me. This smells like someone who has their shit together. Like this just smells like someone who's like a total boss, but not in like a fiery way, more in just like a very grounded, very confident, very mature. Like this is someone who's like, her bills are always paid on time. She's always wearing like beautiful clothes. She's always very like emotionally, you know, mature. Like she never like lashes out. She doesn't swear. She's just like, she's like a boss babe, you know, and she just, yeah, she's like going places. And I just feel like $1 million when I put this on. I have a tendency to wear this before I go wine tasting. I don't know what that's about, but the past like 3 or 4 times that I've gone wine tasting and I'm looking at what to wear, I'm like, Bottega Veneta for sure. It is just so, so good. And no one talks about it, like literally no one. I don't know why. It's definitely not like a modern fragrance. Like it definitely smells kind of classic. I'm not going to say vintage, but very classic, almost like a Dior fragrance. It has a similar kind of vibe. It's really, really good though. If you like those kind of elevated, grown up sort of chypre style, jasmine, patchouli, oak moss, this might be worth checking out for you for sure. All right, guys, that is it for our 10 fragrances today. Thank you so much for watching. Before we wrap up today's video, I also wanted to share, for those of you guys that saw my video earlier this week where I shared about the loss of my father, I had an idea to do a tribute video for him because my dad didn't wear cologne. I mean, he wore cologne in the 80s, like he wore the Ralph Lauren in the green bottle, you know, on like special occasions. But as he got older, he actually got really into patchouli, and like specifically like patchouli oil. And he was that guy that was like flooding rooms with patchouli. He really liked the smell of patchouli a lot. It was his favorite smell. So I thought it would be cool to do a patchouli centered video as a tribute to my dad. And yeah, I've never done a patchouli centric video before, so I think that would be really cool. So let me know if that sounds like a fun idea to you. And thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. And I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.